A very special guest, Mr. Harvey Dixon. Lee, take it away.
KJ, I got a very special guest down there with us. Got a young man that played for the Loretta Mustangs about 1 or 2 years ago, and he was telling me it was back during the 1943-1944 football season. Is that correct, Mr. Harvey Dixon?
Yeah, yes, it is, during World War II.
Wow, I can't imagine even during the war you guys still played football?
Absolutely. Well, in 43-44, Loretta had enough boys to get up 17 for a football team. 42-43, there weren't enough boys to get a football team because they'd mostly been drafted into the Army or Navy.
And we're talking, 17, 18-year-old kids, 19-year-old kids at that time.
That's true. Remember, that was not long after the Depression, and during the Depression, many of the farm kids had to stay home at work, stay home and help on the farm. So you'd typically have you'd have 19-year-olds going to high school still. Wow. And as soon as you're 18, you got drafted.
And that took everybody off, and I'm sure you guys were playing with some underage kids, so to speak. You didn't have these a lot of the 18, 19-year-old kids out there playing like these guys do today.
There was no 18-year-old, that's true. And there was, we didn't have big guys back then either. Hey, I was a fullback, and I weighed, I think, 150 pounds there. Heaviest guy on our team was 165. He played tackle.
Wow. You definitely can't have a big running game in that way, can you, now, Mr. Dixon?
No, as a matter of fact, we only had 17 guys on the team. So when we'd practice our plays during practice, Coach Pachonik would have the offense line up to practice its plays on the right side, set up the remainder of the other 6 guys to defend on the left side, to defend on that side. Then he'd switch them over to the other side.
So you guys were doing what they call now the 7-on-7 back in the 1940s.
Well, there was not even 7. You had 6 left on defense and 11 trying to play offense.
So you didn't even have the 7-on-7. It was a 6-on-6 or 7-on-6.
Well, we had 11 playing, practicing. We always had 11 when we played a football team. In fact, we played here in Hohenwald 70 years ago, and that's one of my reasons for coming back this particular year. It would be the 70th high school reunion of my graduating class of 1945. And I've got all 4 of my kids are here with me. They flew in from California and today.
So how does a man that played football for the Loretta High School Mustangs back in 1944 get all the way out to California?
The Navy shipped me out there. I had to go in the Navy as soon as I became 18 that year. And I ended up in California, met a local girl, and just settled there.
Well, and we appreciate you coming back here to join us here, on MustangsTV.com and the X Sports Radio Network on this Friday night. Matter of fact, they were looking for you before the ball game, but I understand you and Mr. Pettis was out eating and enjoying some good food.
Yes, we were.
So, Mr. Dixon, let's go back. Who did you say the coach was for the Loretta Mustangs back in your days of playing?
John Pachonik.
John Pachonik. I got to say, KJ, that's one guy I've never heard of, but I don't know the history back to the 1940s of the Loretta High School Mustangs.
I've heard the name. I have heard the name.
John was also a chemistry teacher, physics teacher, mathematics teacher. He was selected, as a matter of fact, not at Loretta, while he was at Loretta, but in his later teaching days, as Teacher of the Year in Tennessee.
Wow.
Very good teacher.
Very good teacher, and apparently a very good coach, having to coach a bunch of kids. Like you say, you're losing all your senior leadership and even junior leadership going off to war. Mr. Dixon, one thing I want to do is thank you for your service to our great country, first and foremost. I want to thank you for being here tonight and joining us and giving us this little interview before we go any further. How many games did you win back in your days of playing at Loretta High School?
Oh, don't ask me that. We didn't have a very good team with young guys. We won the game against Hohenwald. I remember that. I remember we played against Lawrenceburg B team. We didn't have a good enough team to play against them. That ended up 0-0. We lost one at Pulaski because I let a guy, not because I let a guy get away. I had to play football on offense, and on defense I was sort of what they call a cornerback these days. We call him left halfback. I was about to tackle him, and he faked a lateral off, and I turned him loose. He went for a touchdown, the other guy, and I went to tackle the other guy. They beat us, but that wasn't the only way they beat us. They beat us soundly.
Well, you know, but the good thing is that you can look back now, like you say, you know, 2 or 3 years ago this happened back in the 1940s. You can look back now and really get a good kick out of that stuff, though, right? And Mr. Dixon, my question to you, one of the big questions to you, has the game of football, everything's changed, but has the game of football actually changed any from your day of playing to what you watch nowadays, either on TV or out here watching this game tonight?
In terms of the fundamental rules, no. But in terms of the skill levels, in terms of the size of the guys playing, hey, 200-pound guy in high school in the 40s, incredible. You would never find it. No.
That was a lot different, I'm sure, back in the day. I mean, you just mentioned earlier that 165 pounds was your biggest guy on your team when you were playing?
Yeah, he was considered the fat guy on the team.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if 165 is fat, I want to be a fat guy.
Yeah, but we had fun. I had made some of the best friends I still have. Well, most of them are passed on now, but Ray Methvin, I had breakfast with him and his wife this morning. He played Dr. Ray Methvin from Loretto, retired now, but he played on that team as well 70 years ago here in Hohenwald.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I knew Dr. Methvin had played for Loretto, but I didn't realize that, you know, he was actually on the team back when you was playing as well.
Yeah, he was a junior that year. Actually, it was 43-44. So we would have played in the football season of the fall of 43. I'm sorry, fall of 44, because I graduated in 45.
Right.
In April of 45.
So you did get to graduate before you got shipped off to war?
Yes, I graduated 6 months before I became 18. So I had a little while before I had to go off to the Navy.
Well, Mr. Dixon, again, I want to thank you on behalf of MustangsTV.com and the Exports Radio Network. Thank you for coming out and joining us this evening. Thank you for the interview, and personally, thank you for defending our great country.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a joy to be here. Thank you.
That's Mr. Harvey Dixon here at halftime at Lewis County High School. Score 19-0 at the half. KJ, I'm going to send it back up to you. Want to thank MustangsTV.com and the Exports Radio Network for carrying this at halftime, and it's been my special privilege to interview this young man, Mr. Harvey Dixon. We want to thank him for his time.